I'm so proud of you.
Fabulous. Today we're here at the Miami College. We talked about
With the Real Masculinity product for hair. She's going to tell us a little bit more about it today.
welcome to share your story with Magie Kanzky and Marjorie Germain.
Oh, it's March, the month of Women's International. Join us today.
Hello everyone. Welcome to share your story with Magie Kanzky and
Marjorie Germain.
today we have with us a very special friend, someone that I've known for a while. We are in the same community. Sabine is someone that I would like for everyone in the community to know, because before I even introduce her, let me just tell you, Sabine is someone who can connect you with whatever you need in the community. Sabine, welcome. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to even interview me.
It's a pleasure. I mean, you are so full of resources. I've met a lot of people who can connect people, but you are someone that I know everybody in the community needs to really reach out to you. Before we get there, I really would like to know a little bit about you. Please tell us a little bit about what you do and how did you get to where you are?
Well, currently I am a dual licensed massage therapist. I've been doing massages for 18 years now, skincare for 10, and I also been doing life insurance for 3 years. Some people say doing all those things don't make sense, but I feel that all of it encompasses wellness. And so your financial wellness, your spiritual wellness, your physical wellness. And so for me, it makes sense. I went blank.
Let me ask you, Sabine, which one did you start out, you started with first?
So the massage is my specialty. I can do it with my eyes closed. So the reason why I went into massage is my mother. So she's diabetic, and I recall in my early childhood years her going to different doctors' offices, and whatever they prescribe her, she would take. She's one of those obedient people, like you. I don't know. Some people have whatever the doctor says. The doctor
They entrust the doctors. Yes,
the
so
doctors.
that's my dad.
So, coming up, I also wanted to be a doctor myself. But then watching my mother, I noticed that traditional medicine wasn't it. So I said, there has to be an alternative way, another method that is better. And so when I was at Miami-Dade, I took an alternative medicine class, and they talked about different modalities. Massage was one of the modalities that was discussed. And so simultaneously, I was also working as a student life staff member. And so whatever activities was going on campus, I would participate in. And so the New Student Center director was interviewing me about something, and I mentioned to her that I was interested in doing massages and that I researched massage, but the money, it was too expensive. At the time, National School of Technology and other places, it was like $10,000 or more. And she goes, that was back in 2002, going into 2003. And she's like, oh, we just opened up a program. And so I ended up being the first graduating class of Miami-Dade College. So this year is my 20th anniversary.
Wow.
I'm a current alumni with them, and never look back. It's been my profession, my career. And I remember praying to God. I was like, Lord, I want my profession to also be my calling. And so not realizing massage is a very intimate field. So when I'm massaging someone, I'm not only massaging their physical body, I'm massaging their mental as well as their spiritual. So it encompasses the whole person. So I'm able to be in position where the body has the ability to heal itself. And so all I do is assist the body in what it naturally does. I'm just a point of contact for God to do that.
Aha. Now you had mentioned you also connect with them spiritually.
Yes.
How about those people who have that evilness in them?
So that's another thing. So in massage, they talk about transference.
Yes.
So transference is real. And so I need to be centered and grounded myself so that in massaging, I'm not picking up what the person is depositing.
So how do you distinguish that? How do you set that aside or separate the two?
So this is where, for me, prayer is my centering and grounding. So I invite God in every session. So whether the person realizes it or not, they're being massaged by God.
If you don't belong in the room, you got to go.
Yeah,
Yes,
that was
yes.
powerful because I've never
Yes.
heard anyone talking about massage in that way. I do have one of my clients that I work with. She's good at what she does. She's a great massage therapist. And the first time she laid her hands on me, I was like, wow, this is magic. This everything in my body seems like put back into where it's supposed to be. And one thing that the difference between what you're saying and what she told me was that she does her spirituality differently. It's not that she doesn't use God, because she's also, someone who's aware of God, but she uses a spiritual connection. I believe, people who get messages and stuff like that. I don't remember the proper word for it, so I don't want to say something that's not right. So she connects differently, but not using the word God. Okay,
Yeah.
and she says she can feel tension. I don't know if you do that.
So it's all energy. So people who don't use the terminology God, they're talking about energy. So energy works. So in massage, you have the physical part of it, and then the spiritual part falls into the energy section. And so that part also can get kind of spooky if you go the far left. But I just hold on to the Lord. Jesus is my Savior. And so what he does for me, I allow myself to be a point of contact for him to do it in others. So
That's beautiful.
yeah.
Yes. Now, with that said, with the recipient being the one who might have a negative or energy, if we want to say, what if the person providing the service is the one with the negative energy?
Definitely.
Would you say it's possible to transfer
Yes.
that to the recipient?
Correct. So I know some people who are particular about who touches them, right? And they have every reason to be, because that transfers, it happens vice versa. So I can pick up from the client, or the client can pick up from me. And so it's just being mindful. So some people use the word empath. Like an empath is someone who picks up. They walk into a room and they take on the energy or the emotions of others. And me being spiritual, spirits feed off of your emotions.
Yes.
And so I have learned to, if I'm at peace and then I come somewhere and then all of a sudden I'm feeling some kind of way, I know to distinguish how I feel from what somebody else is feeling. So, but it's been years of me doing this, which is why I can distinguish. Some people, they don't know how to distinguish, and so they take on the emotions of others.
To follow up on what you just said, let's say you walk in a room, you go to a client, you're about to massage them, you feel that negative energy. Do you, in some cases, maybe you may want to educate other masseuses, is it okay not to compromise your customer service? How do you let them know, I'm sorry, unfortunately, I won't be able to massage you today, without displaying the reason why? Because I think that would be rude to just tell them, yeah, negative. Sir, ma'am, your energy is not really
Correct.
matching mine.
Yeah.
So what would be the nice way, professional way of not, providing the service?
So, to be honest, with massage, you either click with the person or you don't click with the person. And so I think one time, in my 18 years, I had one gentleman who we just did not vibe. And I had to tell him, unfortunately, sir, I'm not able to meet your demands. And so we would have to cut it off. So it's just a matter of communication. So when it comes to energy-wise, there will be a transference. And the stronger person will win.
Yes.
Wow, this is powerful. This is a conversation that we need to have, because too often people just think, okay, I'm just gonna go to this place and get a massage. And I think from what I'm getting from you, it's necessary to also understand who's laying hands on you.
Correct.
Because you don't know what they're bringing onto your body.
Yes.
Correct.
So we're gonna take a quick break and come right back with more information.
Stay tuned.
Distance pas problème encore pour nous consulter docteur non. Technologie a ban possibilité à nous profiter. Sous track ça, bon parler nous de Fast Telemed Membership de Dr. Franz Saint-Ville. Li dans 15415 North Florida Avenue Tampa Florida, mais ou capable consulter n'importe côté la caillou dans machine ou dans travail. Surtout ou même qui fait entrer par boy ici a bagay yo koko fin trop bon en main. Programme ça c'est pour même la coûter seulement $150 pour toute année, à peu près $12.50 par mois. Ou à payer par Zelle, Cash App, Crédit Card, Money Order, gens plus facile pour vous. Quel que soit côté où y est dans Florida, ou à consulter, il y a bonne prescription. Si vous avez nécessité examen, il y a pour vous à le faire. Si vous avez besoin de faire radiographie, il y a pour vous côté plus près là. Il y a pour vous résultat à bas et puis mes traitements. Si vous avez nécessité un autre docteur, il y a préféré Fast Telemed Membership, c'est consultation sans limite pour faire tension, sucre, cholestérol, infection et la trier. Yo connaît qui j'en a souffrir et ou pas assurance, programme ça c'est pour oui ou inscrit jodi dans 2 jours ou capable commencer jouer programme. Relais pour inscrit jodi même. Yo parler créole 813 264 73 00 813 264 73 00. Encore, c'est 813 264 73 00.
BPX Production a présenté 3e édition Miami Fête Champêtre. Anessa, Enchanté Tabou Combo. Qui est-ce qui est capable de remporter premier prix $5,000, deuxième prix $3,000 et troisième prix $1,500? Chanter n'importe musique Tabou Combo qui t'est toujours fort plaisir et tourner révélation Tabou Combo. Voyez en audio ou bien vidéo par email sur Miami Fête Champêtre à commercial@gmail.com ou bien par WhatsApp sur numéro ça 813 344 24 24. Pas oublier, 15 juillet, c'est dernier jour inscription à fermer. Final la fête 12 à 13 d'août dans Miami Fête Champêtre.
Nous qui chante Tabou Combo bien, nous avons réservé une place pour nous dans Tabou Combo.
Anessa, un tout dit bon anniversaire pour 55 ans Tabou Combo dans Miami Fête Champêtre. Qui ça obtient? Vraie description $50. Pour plus d'informations, relais sur 813 344 24 24 786 642 35 35. Depuis Kounia, Miami Fête Champêtre avec BPX Production, abdi nous toutes bonne chance. Enchanté Tabou Combo.
Moi, c'est Emeline Michel. Toujours garder BPX TV Radio.
Welcome back, everyone. Like we told you earlier, we are having a conversation that I truly believe everybody who ever needs someone to give them a massage needs to hear. And we have with us Miss Sabine, and as you can see, she's an expert in the field, and she's going to continue to share with us and educate the community.
Now, we're about to dive in a little bit deeper into the massage, which I'm sure has happened at some point, and some people might question as well. Have you ever have a client being inappropriate?
Yes. But again, I've been doing it for 18 years, and probably I want to say a handful. It's not very rare for me, only because of my personality. So I can be like a dry, serious person. So as long as you're consistent, people won't try you. So
So if I understand, you set the tone.
yes.
Even though they want to get aroused, even when they want to make a pass, but by setting that tone, that serious tone, you shut it down pretty much.
Correct. So I'm in charge of the space. It's going to be a safe space. It's going to stay a safe space. And so, again, for me, everything is spiritual. We shut those spirits down. They got to go. It's a wrap. And true story, I
love it.
I had an incident when I was working at the Lowe's South Beach. It was a late guest, right? The whole time I'm with him, we're talking about the Lord. He's opening up, telling me everything. And then at the end of it, he said, you know what, I'm so happy that I had you as my therapist, because my intention was, whoever was my therapist, I was going to do something to them.
Wow.
And I said, wow. And so, but he's like, the Lord, he's thankful that God used me to check him. So
that is powerful to be
Yes.
grounded not only in your character, but as well as you mentioned earlier, we know that everybody's spiritual or you're spiritual in different ways, but whatever you serve, that you stay deeply grounded in it so it could protect you and avoid those kind of spirits, like you said.
Yes.
Shut it down.
yes.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, I have my one of my clients, and empath was the word that I was looking for. And you know, when she shared her stories, it's a lot similar, you know, with your stories. But she also mentioned that she has to control the environment because otherwise she can feel the negative spirits trying to either the person acting a little funny or not really relaxing the way they're supposed to. And she says, whenever you have someone you're giving a massage and they're totally uncomfortable, there are ways you have to touch them. And I mean, there are things that she shares with me that I would never, you know, thought of. I'm like, okay, give you a massage. Usually it's just, okay, sit down or lay down, let me put my hands on you, and then
Right.
that's it, make you feel good and stuff like that. But there's a lot more to it.
Right.
And I think there's a healing process,
Correct.
which I know that the community need to understand. Massage is not just you get up and say, okay, well, I'm going to that Chinese place and get a massage, or I'm going to call this company and just get a massage, or I'm going to get a Groupon and find the massage at the cheapest place. You're connecting your body to that person that's going to lay hands on you, because actually that's what they're doing, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, that person is laying hands on you. So you need to be able to find someone that you can connect with, number one.
Correct.
Number two, also someone you feel you can trust.
Yes.
Because massage can go either way.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay? And if you find a man who's giving... these days I notice that they do not allow men to massage women, because the places that I've been, if you're a woman, they usually send a woman to you. And when I go with my husband, they'll send a man.
If I'm not mistaken, it's optional. You request who you want. Because just like some men would not allow another man to touch them. Therefore, they give you the opportunity, the option to select who you want.
Yeah.
Correct. You do select who you want, and the field is more acceptable for women. Men do have it harder, but they are also we're equally good. We may have different touches, but all of it is equally good. And when it comes to connecting with your therapist, if you don't feel that you're connected with the person, then it's better to find someone else. But as far as touch is concerned, you did mention about, I want to do a class for the layperson. Just regular people who have loved ones that they're taking care of, to teach them how to properly and appropriately touch their loved ones. Only because, like you mentioned earlier, the touch can go another way, right? And most people don't pay attention to the nonverbal cues that their loved ones are displaying, whether it's a child or an elderly person, because they don't speak and they can't share and communicate properly their pain points. It's just a matter of paying attention to the nonverbal cues. And as a therapist, I do ask my clients, what areas would you like me to pay more attention, and what areas do you need me to avoid? But I'd also listen to the body, because the body speaks.
I like that. And actually, that was going to be my next question to you. I mean, do you ask your client where, you know, that is, this, don't touch me there?
Right.
Or if you are the client, if your massage therapist touches you inappropriately or someplace that you don't want to be touched, because some people may be too uncomfortable, you know, to say, okay, you know, I don't like what he or she is doing to me, but I don't know what to say. How do you tell someone, I mean, like, you know, as a client, how do you tell your massage therapist, don't touch me there?
So as a client, I want you to be empowered. You're the teacher, we're the student. Everybody's different, so everybody's touch is different. So it's just being mindful of that particular person, because I'm also aware of the traumas that most people encounter from childhood. Those traumas don't go away. They're stored in your body. And it's just a matter of certain touches will release that trauma. So I always tell my guests, At any time throughout the service, let me know if there's any discomfort. You need to voice. Don't just sit there and take the service. Don't assume that we know, because everybody's different. I might think I'm doing something appropriate to you, but because of your past traumas, it's affecting you. So it's just a matter of communication on both parts. With any good relationship, communication is key. Same thing with the great massage. You need to communicate.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, my next question to you is, we mentioned how some spirit can transfer from the recipient to the masseuse to the recipient. I will imagine as well that the tension, the stress from the recipient might transfer to the masseuse as well. How do you, especially if you're doing a couple people a day, 2, 3, 4, 5, at some point, do you feel stress yourself or tight tension? How do you avoid not overworking or not transferring the customers, the patient, stress to you?
So this is why you need to go to school. So in school, you learn how to, the proper body mechanics, because body mechanics makes a difference. So if I'm focused on pleasing the guest and I'm not paying attention to my own body mechanics, I'm going to feel tension. And being mindful and aware of my own state of being, my own state of mind. Also, so if I'm feeling some kind of way, I know that that's a transference from the guest that, okay, I need to reposition myself, reground myself. And so it's just being aware. So awareness is the...
So if I understand clearly, you don't automatically, by doing so many patients, automatically transfer the stress or the tension. You don't get tense yourself, or don't feel like after 2, 3 days you need a massage yourself from working so much.
So again, most people see massage as a luxury, but it is a necessity. Every profession needs a massage.
Yes.
Even myself. So I do trades with other therapists. And again, I'm mindful of who's touching me now. For whatever reason, in the beginning, I didn't care who touched me. Now, it's like I can't have anybody touch me. I have a fellow sister in the Lord who, she's also a therapist. We do exchange regularly. So that my own state of being, so that I'm more productive, which is why I ask people who do care for their loved ones, if you're pouring from an empty cup, you need to be replenished. And I'm the person to assist you with that.
I love that. I love it. I love it a lot, because many times we neglect ourselves. We are not aware that we're pouring from an empty cup.
Yes.
And that is regardless of what field you're in. You know, as a relationship coach, I have to also, understand there are people that I'm talking with, and I said, I gotta stop, because you realize, okay, well, you're gonna cross over, and you don't want to do that. You always want to pull onto your extra, whatever is coming extra out of your pocket, as they say, and that's what you give to people. You don't put your hands in your pocket and take it out and give it away. Correct. So whatever is extra, that's what you share. And I love that. I really hope that people who are watching today can get something from this. We have been, doing this for a while, Marjorie, talking about really educating our community, letting them know not only about the services that are available, but the work that we're doing here. Bringing experts like you in your field, to talk and educate them. Things that we take for granted.
Yes.
But then when you hear someone else come in as an expert in your field, when you tell someone, it's okay to tell your therapist, don't touch me there.
Yes.
That's giving them power.
Yes.
And when you tell the therapist, don't overflow yourself, pull only from your extra, not from your empty cup.
Yes.
So we're giving power to people. So we really want you guys to understand this space right here, BPX TV, is your space. If you have any questions, and if you are in a field that you believe you have something that can educate the community, reach out to us here. Let me give you quickly our number, 786-642-3535. The reason that I really want you guys to know this is because I don't want you to feel like you're alone. Because too often we neglect ourselves because we don't know where to go. So this space allows you not just to be educated, but also we can train you to have your own TV show, to do your own education for the community. Tell us about what is it you're doing. your career. What is it that you want to share? Come and share it with us so we can
Share
hear
your
your
stories.
voice. Definitely.
Traveling to Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic, I have well located and beautiful apartments for rent, short term and long term. Wish to buy or invest in real estates in the Dominican Republic? Contact me. Looking for a great vacation package in the DR? I am only one call or text message away. WhatsApp 305-834-1458 www.vacances-ak-baba.com.
Diri mwen yo, kote nou, jodi a mwen vin feke nou kontan. La Reine Distribution a prezante nou Riz la Reine ki se yon tout nouveau produit sou marché a. Wap jwen de kalite la don ki se Diri Jasmine ak Diri Golden Chela. Diri lo wim di ti moun fe, kom si nou patande. Wagou pa ou menm ki ta reme achete pou prepare la kayou. Chef yo, kote nou pou restaurant, komersan yo ki ta reme achete pou revend, ebyen nou vend en gros et en détail. Se sak pi bel la. Nou fe livraison tout partout. Montez kounya sur site web là qui c'est www.larenco.com. Pour plus d'informations, relais 305 665 36 32. Nous chita dans 411 North First Center, Hallandale Beach, Florida 33009. Riz la Reine, le riz de bonne saveur, dit riz bon goût, léger et sans paille.
BPS TV Réseau, Télévision PAM.
We have with us Miss Miriame. Miriame is a consultant. She works with professionals who own their business. And she has some techniques that she's been using for the past few years. And today she's here with us to educate the community. Not just people who want to start their own business, but people who already are in business and need some guidance. So, welcome, Miriame. How are you today?
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, Marjorie. It's such a pleasure to be among you all today, Maggie. Thank you for the invite. I count this an incredible honor and privilege anytime I get the chance to share my story and my work, because I believe it's pretty unique what I do, and I really enjoy not just doing my work, but being in my purpose. I think that's really what's most significant about the way I've come into my practice, is that I really am, like, I could do this all day.
Wonderful. Now you touch on a very important word, your purpose.
Yes.
At what point in your life did you decide that was your purpose, your calling, and how did you get started?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So there's this thing that I like to say, like that there's a space between where your passion and your pain intersect. Your purpose is birthed.
One more time. Let's rewind. They want to hear this.
Okay, so there is a space between where your passion and your pain intersect, is kind of where the opportunity of your purpose being birthed. So essentially, one of my pain points was being really frustrated that kids were not having access to, like, equal access to quality education.
Keyword, equal
Yes. And so
It exists,
yes,
but some do not get it,
equal.
unfortunately.
Absolutely. And in the way that others have access to it. And then one of my passions is performing arts and theater and music and performing. And so the combination of that meant to become a teaching artist. So I literally combined my passion and my pain and entered into the education system by being a teaching artist. So I did not go through a traditional means. I actually worked for an organization that is long-standing here in Miami called Arts for Learning. Hello, crew. A for L. Arts for Learning dates me back to my earliest days as a career professional. I was really fresh out of college, only 2 years out of college at that time, and a friend of mine said, hey, I know you're working as a business data analyst and you're doing this job during the day, but would you like to, in the afternoons, teach? And I was like, honey, I'm not a teacher. I am an artist. I do
you knew.
artsy things. I'm an artist. And she was like, no, I think it's cool. You're really good with kids and da-da-da-da. I started that process, and by the end of I want to say 4 or 5 years in, I was running all over Miami-Dade County, teaching children from VPK to 9th grade.
Wow.
And I had contracts really all over, within this particular grant, I was contracted to serve a lot of after-school programs, so elementary, middle, high, you just kind of through middle school. But I did that for several years, and I got the attention of several principals, one of which in particular said, you really have the gift to teach. You should be a full-time teacher. And if you get into MDCPS, Miami-Dade County Public Schools, I'll bring you into the system. I will pull you, go through the process to, apply, and I'll get you. That didn't fully pan out, but by that time I was already in the system, and so I became a teacher. And
now, were you teaching art as a teacher?
Yes. Wonderful. So my primary subjects, I taught elementary school for several years. So I taught, really that's all subjects, general education, and then specialized in high school. My last several years in the classroom, I taught both theater and film, as well as language arts and creative writing.
Wow, that was a lot.
Yeah. Yes. So I've had quite the diverse career. Very unique as well, because most teachers will teach in a grade or 2 grades and don't move through the full trajectory. Yes. I've taught every grade except 8th.
Wow.
Yep.
Now, from an educator to another educator,
yes.
What group age do you prefer? Middle? High? Because some teachers say they will never teach high school. They will never teach middle school. So tell us.
This is a funny story. Okay. I'm going to tell y'all about Jerome.
Jerome.
And I'll tell you exactly why, and you'll understand why I don't teach this grade. Okay. Jerome, a kindergartner, had a desk right next to mine. You know the students that have the desk right next to yours, right? He goes, Miss King, he said at the time, Miss King, right? And he said, I gotta go to the bathroom. Okay, go ahead, baby. He goes to the bathroom. I'm teaching math. We have not gone to recess yet. We're going to go to recess after math. He comes back, and for some reason it smells like dirt and outside and sun. And I'm like, we didn't go outside yet. What's going on? I continue to teach. He goes, Miss King, right? Can I go to the bathroom? I said, no, Jerome, you just went. Do you know what this little boy says to me? He looks up and he goes, I didn't finish. I was like, boy, if you don't go to the bathroom, you little nasty. Kindergarten, I cannot, I can't do the babies.
Yes.
I have fun with them for 2.5 seconds.
Yes.
And then you got to go back to your mama, just somebody, but move from around here, okay? So I enjoy the little ones for play, but not for instruction. My favorite.
And I share your sentiment. I like the more mature. They know what they're here for, and they want to
Exactly.
graduate. So therefore, yes.
And you got the ripe age. So at 9th and 10th grade, when you get to high school, they have options. You're like,
Yes.
look, you're a young adult. Do you want an A or an F? And do you want your F in black ink or red ink? Which, right, so you get options.
You give them options.
You can have conversations with the older ones. So I prefer high school and
Yes. Same
I
here.
understand you, ladies. Although I'm not a teacher myself, but I am. My background is in social work.
Yes.
So I understand you because I would rather have an adult client
Yes.
instead of a child client because of the same reason. It's really hard for them to focus and to follow the rules. Whereas the adults, I will say, okay, well, this is what we're gonna do. You have two options. You can either do it or you don't do it. So, and I don't feel that responsible when I sit down and explain it to you. Versus a kid, I feel like I'm responsible because, you know, as social workers, we have to go to the school, we have to visit the kids, we have to make sure that we become more than the parents.
Yes.
Because often the parents are not involved.
Right.
It's us who do the work.
Yes,
So
although education itself requires patience, but
Yeah.
the little ones require supplemental patience.
Definitely, definitely. And this is such a great conversation that we're having.
It is.
And again, these are things that the community need to know. We need to really explain to the community what's the difference when when you have a kid who's in school 4 or 5 years old versus an adult kid, how to manage your kids, especially with the different culture, like ours, for instance. You know, there's a difference. The parents' education and our kids' education. We really need to try to find a middle ground where the parents don't feel isolated from the kids or vice versa. But we're going to come right back after these quick messages to give you some more information.
Black Ricky Productions, along with 3/5 edition Generation in One Night, presents the Santo Domingo Caribbean Festival, July 13th through the 17th. 1 week of nothing but the biggest event. Destination, Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic. Performing live. Direct from Nigeria, Wonder Bantan, Team Fice, Mascopan, Misty Jean, Todo Michel, Vlog La Vie, TNC Toll, Steve J. Bryan, Kai, Chris Nadine, DJ Steph, Kenny Wayne, DC, Darlene Desca, Estal, Martin Alexandre, DJ Light, Latin Superbe, Nudoe, Andy B, Charlene Baton, the Santo Domingo Caribbean Festival, July 13th through the 17th. Tickets are on sale now at SantoDomingoCaribbeanFest.com. For info, call on WhatsApp at 801-623-1920. Be there.
Il y a des gens qui parlent comment dire que jouer instrument comment est très difficile pour apprendre. Bon, moi-même c'est Ariol Music School. Donc on l'école en North Miami qui est dans 123-99 West Dixie Highway. Côté que nous enseignons instruments ça là, tels que piano, guitare, basse, batterie, etc. Ou même qui t'a aimé jouer un instrument. Pas maintenant tête que le difficile. Ici il y a tout bagage possible. Il est facile. Il n'est pas difficile, façon technique m'utiliser pour mes leçons très facile pour apprendre. Prends le numéro de téléphone ça 786 357 0014 relève pour qu'à venir prendre un trial. Ça me dit pas trial là qui veut dire qu'à venir ici on va essayer un instrument. On va charger pour ça. On va venir essayer et puis instrument qu'on remet, on va continuer avec. Ou get si moun là qui t'a remet jouer un instrument. Si moun a sorti de l'école c'est vrai, mais toujours bon pour mener si moun activité sociale. Mener si moun a venir jouer un instrument, piano, guitare, basse, batterie, etc.
BPX TV, c'est la vie. BPX TV, c'est nous-mêmes. BPX TV, on met tête ensemble dans Kembil.
Earlier we told you that we are with Miriame King, and she's an educator in the community. She's working with different type of people who have their own business. But Miriame also has something else that she's doing that she has not told us yet. And I know you guys want to learn about this. So Miriame, tell me about, you're an author?
Yes. You know what I like to call myself? Mm-hmm. I like to call myself a multi-hyphenate.
Interesting.
A multi-hyphenate creative, right? Like, I'm old enough now to understand that you can have several versions of yourself, professionally, personally, right? So I'm an artist. I'm an author, I'm an educator, I'm a creative, and I get to live in all of these spaces quite fluidly. So to your point, Marjorie, when you are seated right in the middle of your purpose, everything that you do makes sense. So I'm finding fluid alignment with what I do.
Love that term. I'm sorry. Let's hit them one more time. What is it called?
I'm finding fluid alignment. I just made that up.
Okay. Now, for
good.
those who may not catch up on what it means, you should, as you should. Yeah. Please tell them what that means.
So fluid alignment means that there is no separation between who you are and what you do. As a matter of fact, the mantra of the Eve Consulting firm is we empower who you are for what you do. I emphasize as an educator, regardless of who I was teaching, whether it was my kindergartners or my college students, and not in the professional capacity, but in the mentorship capacity. So I want to clarify that I'm not a professor yet. But just saying to them, like, I don't care essentially what you decide to do. Like, ultimately, the goal is that who you are when you show up in the world is way more important than what you choose to do as a profession. Because oftentimes when we introduce ourselves, even as adults, we do it. We go, hi.
Doctors.
Yeah. My name is, and then you want to introduce yourself by your role or what you do because you believe somehow that nominally this gives you some credibility. Yeah, it gives you some place in the world. And if you are a jerk, right? Like if you are entitled, if you are not kind, if you are disingenuous, right? Like disingenuous. If you're all of these things, what you do is not important.
How many times, I'm sure you probably encountered this in our fields, the doctorate we say it's Dr. So-and-so, not Mr. So-and-so. That, listen.
People do it all the time, and I believe that you earn whatever letters come behind your name, but it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And so when people correct, I mean, still, what did your mama name you?
Okay.
Your mama named you Mimi, and that's who you are. So stop acting like the education gave you some.
It's like you're taking away from their identity. They are less than.
No. And that's so good that you say that, because that's exactly the heartbeat of it, is that no matter what you do, who you are at your constitution, at your core, should not be shaken.
Definitely.
And this is essentially what I'm doing in my practice as a consultant. So in writing my book, in preparing all of these things, and onboarding team members into like what is shifting paradigms for organizational culture, what I have found is that the reason why the fluid alignment is such that it is that the transitions that I'm finding in the workplace are no different than the transitions in the classroom. So essentially, some of those debilitating cycles that we see our students go through, even in social work, you see these people go in the same patterns over and over and over until one day it catches, right?
Yep, definitely.
So in the workplace, the same individuals who have struggled to come to terms really fully with who they are and step into their full identity, those same students are essentially becoming adults and going into the workplace.
Yes.
And so you have in the workplace, you have a classroom full of students. So there are employers who don't see themselves as the teachers of a number of students in the classroom when they should.
Yes.
Every employer will enter with varying degrees of skill, of mental and emotional capacity, of emotional intelligence and social capabilities to engage with other people. There are some people who come into a work, right? They have the hard skills, but not the soft skills. And so they can suffer, right? There are people who will feel othered in a workplace environment and were grateful for the pandemic so that they could work away from everybody else.
They don't have to socialize with people.
Exactly. And so how do you have all of these people coming from different walks of life, varying levels and degrees of hard and soft skill, but then readiness to do the work that it requires to meld into one community of people. So we talk about culture fit versus culture add in my work a lot. Employers will look for culture fit. They want you to come in and assimilate.
Definitely.
To what's going on here. When really every unique individual that comes into a space brings absolutely something different and unique.
Definitely.
And so you're adding a puzzle piece rather than trying to figure out what gap they're going to fix.
And I think that's one of the challenges a lot of companies are going through. And I can use myself as an example. When I started building my team, I needed to make sure that I had certain people that were qualified in certain things. But then I realized that I need people who know what I don't know.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's not people who's going to follow, okay, well, I don't want to get her upset and whatever she says I'm going to do. I need people who can tell me, I disagree with you and this is why I disagree with you.
Yes.
And I have to be strong enough to take it as well. So, and I have to say, I built a team of people who helped me. Last year, we put together a Grand Masquerade Ball that was amazing,
awesome.
And it was because of my team. But I do want to go back to what you mentioned earlier.
Sure,
You're an author.
Yes.
What is your book about?
Ooh, so it is the heart skill of empathic leadership. The head and heart skills of empathic leadership. You mentioned being an empath, right? I think empathy is one of the softest skills that are the most necessary and are lacking in the world.
That most
That's
lacking.
true.
Yes.
Yeah. That's true.
Yes.
Yeah, and so the empathic leadership really from a place of self-awareness, a leader knows that everyone needs both the balance of the head and the heart, and you can't do one without the other.
Definitely not.
So the work that I'm doing in this space of multi-generational interdependence, it's a mouthful. Multi-generational interdependence essentially just means the connectivity from one generation to the next. What we have noted and what research tells us is that, so giving a little bit of the premise for the book, is that the book is broken into 3 volumes, but it essentially speaks to all 3 generations. Right now, in the largest clusters, we're looking at our boomers, right, who are our most seasoned leaders. We're looking at our Xers, and then their children, who are millennials and Gen Zs.
Yes.
Essentially, I mean, and I know that there are so many breakdowns of generations. We've got Generation Alpha right now that is emerging. But in these 3 specific categories, we don't know how to talk to each other. And I believe that I'm rightly seated in between old school and new school. So being that we're all Caribbean women, right?
Do you, the gap?
Yes.
Yes.
So we're closing the gap. We're
the
bridging the gap between these 2 generations or schools of thought. I'm old enough to have valued and understood and respected the traditions of what we call our OGs, right?
Yes.
And then
Respect.
and then I have been here long enough, and as a teacher, I understand the generation that I have raised.
Yes.
And we're so busy calling them entitled and they're soft and they're
They are too.
and all those things. But we did that.
Yeah, we raised those kids.
Yes.
We raised them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, we did that.
Yeah.
We did that because, we thought that our parents were too hard on us.
Yeah. Then in return,
I'm not gonna raise my child like mama. You got kids that will say, "Oh, I'm not."
Earlier, before we took a pause, we're talking about education. We're talking about business. We're talking about like-minded people, basically. We want to make sure that people understand what it's like when you are in a relationship. What's the what is the difference between relationship and business, right? Because sometimes people think, okay, just because your relationship is perfect, the business itself, you don't need to work hard on it, or vice versa. Or if the business is making money, the relationship can be like this, right? As a consultant, and you work with this type of people, what do you think?
I'll give a perfect example. So this is a situation that anybody can resonate with. If you are on your way to work and your spouse or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, right, says they want to dissolve the relationship. and you are within 10 minutes of getting to work, how do you imagine that day is going to go? Quite difficultly, right? Difficultly? Did we just make that up?
Educated? Yes. Hey, we do sometimes. We do.
Yes. Okay. All right. We'll take it. But how difficult do you imagine that day being?
Yeah.
It's gonna be rocky.
Yes.
Right. In the same way, if on the way to work, said spouse partner proposes. It's gonna be a fantastic day.
Yes.
You've been waiting on this moment forever. It's right. So we can't say that we don't take our emotional highs and lows into work. We do. And people will try to say, well, there is a separation and you need to appropriately compartmentalize. There's only so much of that you can do.
Yes.
So in the same way, the correlation between being a business owner and having a relationship, I think to me that there are so many like synergistic connections that it's really helpful for people to see the success of your business in the same lens or through the same lens that you would see the success of your relationship. Find me the owner of a business who has been divorced 3-4 times, hates hard conversations, right? Does not communicate effectively, and let's look at the team. And really, if you break down like the anatomy of that organization, you will find that the same pain points that were in that relationship, that personal love relationship, have proliferation into the business.
Definitely.
There's a correlation.
Oh,
There's
absolutely.
Yes.
If you are a poor communicator in your personal relationship, don't tell me that you go in and I have a fantastic team. No, you don't. Stop it. Stop it. Your people make you look good.
But you know what? The difference is if you are aware of your weaknesses. And then you decide, okay, well, guess what? I'm going to go and find help.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the work on myself, because the reason that I'm saying that is because I was that person.
Yeah.
When I, one point or another, coming from my was relationships, which we'll talk about a whole different time, I realized that I needed to take some time to get to know me.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't continue to go on in life and expecting things to give me a different result when I keep doing the same thing.
For sure. For sure.
And I think that's the problem that a lot of people have. We keep doing the same thing and we want a different result. Unless you take time to invest in yourself, get to know who you are, learn a few things, and then you can say, okay, well, now I'm going to apply what I've learned in my relationship and in my business.
Can I say why I believe that change is so difficult? Like why we're all so hard pressed to change,
resistant to change.
Yeah, it's because we haven't been taught how to be aware.
That's true.
Like self-awareness was not a class for us in school.
But let me ask you, could you be aware but still don't want to change?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But then, okay, so now you leaning into my book. So I have what's called the 5A framework. Okay, and I'll trademark, so don't play with me.
Play with her.
Listen, you got to name this stuff because people be out here in these streets, these internet webs. Okay, the 5A framework is essentially awareness. Awareness, accountability, action, amendment, and application. You cannot ask someone to be accountable for behaviors of which they are not aware.
Definitely.
So you have to start with the awareness. But because awareness, we're not conditioned into learning how awareness work and how introspection works. You're not taught that. What has happened in the trajectory of education, if you will, just as a whole system, is we teach children what they need to learn, but not how to learn.
That's it.
Those are two completely different things. And because you're not teaching the how, we also haven't delved deeply enough into when we say do self-reflection. How does one do that? If you haven't taught someone how to self-reflect or to be personally aware, then the change that comes as a result of the awareness, is much more difficult to facilitate.
Now, touch a little bit on that, on how to be aware.
Okay. Awareness, I believe, starts with quiet. You've got to move comfortably in the space of silence. Like, be okay with being absolutely quiet. All voices off. All noises off. We are so encumbered and so overwhelmed and so deeply saturated with all of the voices and conversation and influences of social media and TV. And like, we know this. We've had this conversation, but there is a stream of consciousness that you have, but it's influenced by all of the other voices. If you turn that off, you'll find that most people are very, very hard pressed to sit with themselves, to be okay in their own skin. Now you're not just tapping on self-awareness, you're tapping on insecurity or security or the lack thereof, and being okay with me. And learning yourself, being comfortable enough to confront only you outside of making someone else responsible for who you become. So go back to what we were talking about with this next generational wave. This next generational wave, we say all the things that they are, you know, entitled and lazy and all the things. But if we are not practicing self-awareness, we will think that they just came here like that. When if we are truly self-aware, we'll identify that we did it because we were trying to do something different.
We thought we were going to do something better.
Share? Okay. So a branch off of, well, I don't want to say a branch off. It's a secondary venture. I am in partnership with a team of incredible gentlemen who, together, we've collectively launched the Mike Speaks podcast. And the Mike Speaks podcast does a lot of the similar work here, where we're creating a safe space for entrepreneurs, change makers, artists, creatives to come together and to collectively discuss the face and the shape of the future of Black economy in Miami. Free event.
Thank you again, Miriame. It was great having you here, and I'm sure the community learned a lot from you, and then we'll see you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Levez les mains, Florida levez les mains, Boston levez les mains, Haïti levez les mains, Martinique, Guadeloupe, Sainte-Lucie. On chante Tabou Combo qu'a fait dans Florida le 12 avec 13 août. D'ailleurs, nous supportons le mouvement ça. Ce Tabou Combo écrit pour tout le monde, Tabou Combo écrit pour toute génération. Donc, les gens qui ont plus belle voix pour chanter musique Tabou Combo, ils ont choisi n'importe musique Tabou Combo ils veulent. Je sois ça pour venir chanter Tabou Combo, il y a un premier prix, deuxième prix, troisième prix. Et au bas je me connais, nous qui chantent Tabou Combo plus bien, nous qui réservons place pour nous dans Tabou Combo.
BPX TV Réseau et BPX Production produit et distribué un paquet de shows à l'autre télévision Haïti ou à l'étranger, tels que Storm TV, chaîne 2, Canal Bleu, chaîne 38 USA, Haïti TV, chaîne 8.5 digital, BPX TV Réseau, all over the world, Haïti en direct et toutes plateformes réseaux sociaux. Ou t'as aimé faire une promotion, une distribution commerciale, un marketing général, pas hésiter une seconde. Haïti 609 area code 3401 2424 USA 786 642 3535. Yo gen WhatsApp tout, BPX TV Réseau, l'espoir de la culture haïtienne.
Welcome to Share Your Story with Magie Kanzky and
Marjorie Germain on BPX TV.
And can work well for your body.
Wonderful. I'm so proud of you.
Fabulous. Today we're here at the Miami Dade with the Real Masculinity product for hair. She's going to tell us a little bit more about it today.
Welcome to share your story, Magie Kanzky and Marjorie Germain.
Oh, it's March, the month of Women's International.